preparing to live stream. Technology is an amazing thing, isn't it? That we can be from places all over the world and communicate like this. It's a great thing, and it's a horrifying, horrible thing at the same time, because that means, it's one thing to find the truth. It's another thing when you have a great big bunch of error and lies, man, that gets around the world like that, got everybody believing it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we got the YouTube channel started, and I am going to go to my messenger. And all right, so it is June 25th, 2024. And this is the first part of our Tuesday Hoof Chat, Hoof Cast, whatever you want to call it. And I seen today, I was looking at my Zoom, I signed up in 2017. Marilyn, we've been doing this for 5, 6, 7 years.
I started in 18.
Yeah.
So I missed the first year.
Yeah, and almost every week, except for a couple months when I took a hiatus, you know. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
That's incredible.
And we still don't know everything we need to. So, but how do you undo 250 years and a million social media posts? How do you undo that much error, in 7 years? I wrongly trimmed my horse for 10 years. At first, it worked out great, because the farrier had let my horse's feet turn into platter feet. So, and at first, the way I was trimming the heels was just to take them back to the widest part of the frog, and the colt had pretty good frogs, so I wasn't just decimating the heels all at once. That was later when I learned about barefoot trimming and natural hoof care, because what I learned was from Gene Ovanik, who started the natural balance hoof care system, which they shoe too. He does, a form of shoeless barefoot trimming, but he also developed a shoe based on his research. But it was later then I got introduced to natural hoof care and the one dead wild horse foot that wore its heels out, and people who were taking the heels down very, very low. And so 70 10 years, 2 years Gene Ovanik, and then I got into that other stuff, and wound up trimming my horses into mechanical laminitis. Pony real bad, but my gelding, I trimmed him into mechanical laminitis too. And that was one of the first studies I did, was on the hoof wall. See, that dressing down the hoof wall weakens the wall, and that can cause mechanical laminitis. But it's different if you're putting a shoe with nails on it, because that's going to hold that foot together longer. But if you're doing a barefoot trim and you are rasping down a third of that wall, then the weight of the horse sitting in that shoe, which that capsule is just like a shoe, and the hardest exterior keeps it in its shape and form. So when you have a 1,200-pound horse, which I don't know what that condenses down to when you take all that weight down into the foot. I mean, because you got some suspension there too, that makes a difference in weight bearing. But 1,200-pound horse pushing down on a thinned out capsule, well, it caused a form of mechanical laminitis. And so that was the first study I ever did. It's still on YouTube, about how the layers of the hoof wall, how thin they are, and how you shouldn't dress them down, because it's common sense to me. Because as I studied it, I learned the harder layers are in the outside, and as you go in and it's no thicker than your finger, it gets softer. So it stands to reason. Common sense tells me that if you thin down the bottom part of that wall, you're going to weaken that wall, and it's going to affect how that horse stands, and the how his foot is protected, the strength, and everything like that. And so by doing a trim called trimming from the top, where you rasp down the foot, I trimmed my gelding into mechanical laminitis, and I came to realize that's what it was. And so that's one of the reasons why most of the time 99% of the time, we do not roust down the outer hoof wall to try and get rid of a flare, because you're not getting rid of a flare, you're just making it worse. But there are ways that you can deal with that wall to grow that flare out, if that's what it truly is. We've learned so much about why these flares come about, and a lot of times they're not even a flare, where like the wall got long, and then the horse, like a long fingernail breaking over and the wall pulled away. Okay, that's one kind of flare where the white line stretches, but there are other kinds of deviations, you might call it. Like if you trim out a heel and you take away the support in the back of the foot, and it pushes the sidewall forward, which pushes it out, makes it look like a flare, but it's not really flare. It is a place where the wall was forced out, bulged out, because the support in the heel was gone. And so the weight of the horse pushed that area forward, which pushed the quarter out. So that's not really a wall, or a wall. It's really a wall. That's not really a flare. That is a structural, that's what would you call it? A structural failure. And so for me, I didn't know that. And so I would rasp down those flares, and they just got worse and worse and worse, because you made the wall weaker. And so pushing forward from the back and pushing out, I wound up with very, very asymmetrical feet on all 4 feet. Asymmetrical foot is where, or hoof capsule, whatever you want to call it, is where it's way wider on one side than the other. And so, these were all things, learning gradually over time and correcting our knowledge for why things happen. See, how can we correct these things if we don't know why they happen to begin with, including some of these horrible, horrible founders? And that's what we're going to talk about today. When we look at Kathy's pony, is we're going to talk about how these horses get foundered, mechanically foundered, especially these ponies, and what rotation really is, and how it happens, and how some of these horses, they rotate so much that they're standing on their foot, can look almost normal, but internally they're standing on their very tiptoe, and there's a big gap between the foot, internal foot, or what you might call the front of the coffin bone, and the dorsal wall, which it fills up with this stuff called laminar wedge. And so in truth, the horse is not actually standing on the flat of his foot, he's standing on his tiptoe, and eventually the toe gets tipped even back further to where the horse can't even stand at all, and he's doing what you call knuckling over. Now, I was able to understand that because of being raised on a ranch, working on ranches, working with a lot of cattle, pulling a lot of calves. Okay. And a lot of times calves, not a lot, but every now and then you pull a calf and he couldn't stand up. His feet would, his pasterns, his feet would buckle under him. That's what you call knuckling over. And so I would try and invent something to put on his legs. Like I put his legs in pipes and duct tape and bat wrap, and to try and make him stand straight so he could stand on the bottom of his feet. and kind of stretch him forward so he could stand up. So they call that knuckling over. And so when I first started seeing that happen to my pony, I freak out, you know. So yeah, when I start seeing that's what trimming the heels out does. It can so get these horses to rotate that finally the toe just is, they're not only standing on their toe is back of center, you know, and they can't even stand up at all. They can't bend their legs, they can't do anything. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and go to, let's see, I've got to uh let's see, get on Facebook and get into my messenger and get the pictures from, just a second, from, wait a minute, who was I gonna do? Ah, Sandra. Okay, I wouldn't be a good teacher, especially for grade schoolers. Okay, so I'm getting in, we're going to look at Sandra's horse. We're going to do an evaluation on Sandra's horse. And oh man, I'm looking at this. I just got out of my Facebook. I'm looking at this little mule that belongs to Dirk. Dirk, he's on my friends list and in our group. Dirk's, I don't know if I can pronounce his last name, Seats. It's the prettiest little mule you ever seen out of a Palomino mare. Okay, where we got here? So Sandra Lucas. I'm gonna put you in bigger here. Just a second here. Open in Messenger. Maybe. Oh, got it. Now they got that stupid pin number you got to do. Okay. My computer's working a little funky slow. Um, let's see here. Okay, now I'll go to Zoom and we'll do a screen share. Screen share. All right. Okay. So, Sandra, um,
Yes.
will you tell us your story a little bit here to the crazy world of hoof trimming and about this horse, and that way people kind of get to know what's going on here?
Yeah. She's a schooling horse, so she lives at a riding school where little kids and everybody who wants to can learn how to ride.
Oh, great.
I had horses myself in past years. I started riding there because I needed exercise for myself, and
Yeah.
didn't want to get into getting another horse and blah blah blah. So I came there, and she was assigned to me as my riding horse. But I saw how bad her feet were, and they were very much in need of a trim. Um, very neglected feet. And I found your channel on YouTube, I think about like seven years ago or something like that. I did
Uh-huh.
some trimming before on a horse I rode, but not according to your method. So this is the
Hmm.
first horse I do through tact. And
Okay.
I offered to trim her, and the owners were okay with that because I told them, well, I can't look in your wallet. These riding schools have a lot of money problems too.
Yeah.
And so I offered, and they were okay with that. So I started in April.
Hmm.
She's a mare. She's warm blood,
Okay.
22 years old, I guess.
Wow.
She's
Okay.
I just did calculation on her height. Um, and now I forgot already.
Oh, well, that's okay. But she's a good sized horse, probably, right?
Yeah, I do a quick check. Um, 1 meters 68. Yeah, a good 15, 16 hands.
Okay.
She has a very high-low heel in the front, or very
Okay.
high-low feet.
Mm-hmm.
The low is very underrun, and her upright feet is more like a almost club feet.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's the story a little bit. I go there once a week,
Mm-hmm.
so I can do only once a week a little bit. I try to do 1 week I do a little bit, just the bars and the frog,
Mm-hmm.
and the other week I do full mapping and trimming.
Okay. Well, great. Well, it's awesome that first of all you're being able to go and get some wonderful exercise, which riding is good for both body and soul,
Yeah,
body, soul, and spirit.
yeah.
And what's really great is you're being able to bless this horse by helping her with her feet, and maybe allowing her eventually her to have maybe matching feet and to probably have no inflammation and be out of pain for the first time in her life,
Mm-hmm.
since she is a foal.
Yeah.
Because now do they keep all the horses barefoot, or do they have a farrier, or what do they do?
They do have a farrier, but I don't know how much they come by, or maybe once a year. It's all the horses. The feet are horrible,
Okay.
and I have so many problems in my mind sometimes to see these horses and ride her. But if I don't ride her, I can do her feet and can't help her. So
Yeah.
it's like a confliction in me, but okay, I do my best.
Yeah, I understand. I do. I understand wholly. Okay, well, great. Well, let's just first go through them because I looked at these feet before, you know. Now,
I
sometimes,
posted pictures on the forum
yes,
or on the Facebook page.
the
Yeah,
Facebook page,
yeah.
and like I'm sorry, but I'm just getting to that age where I forget a lot of things. Okay,
Oh, it's the same
you
here, so
know,
no problem.
and but you know what made me remember them? That stripe,
Okay.
that stripe. Oh, okay. So, all right. So this is the low foot
Yeah,
I am taking.
yeah.
Okay, so that's the low foot, and a good job
Uh,
at getting down to the apex of the frog.
yeah, sorry, I just had a new
It's
knife and it was,
okay. It's okay. Long
I
way.
just nicked it.
Like my dad used to say, it's a long ways from your heart.
That's for
So
sure.
that happens. That
Yeah,
happens. Okay. And then, of course, this is the upright foot that's
yeah.
like a club. And they're this way for the same reasons. And so if they develop this way, they could develop this way from lack of trimming, or they could develop this way from trimming. Either way, horses' feet, uh, they do one of two things. One, they'll get upright like this and they'll curl around behind. This foot's making heel, this one, to be
Mm-hmm.
upright. The other one, it just so happened that everything came together so that the cartilages and everything were held down and the heels ran forward. But it's, all from really the same causes. It's just a different way the foot reacted. In fact, you can even have one heel be upright and the other one be underrun. So there you go.
Okay.
Okay, so because really we're not dealing with four heels, we're dealing with eight. Okay, so and here you can see how even though this is a more upright foot, okay, you can see how the cartilages are just really pulled down.
Yeah,
And you even see how the periople, the frog, everything's pulled underneath the foot.
yeah. That foot she has. I don't know if the frog is dead, but very lying deep in the foot and
Mm-hmm.
also very narrow.
Okay. Now, let's see. That's not the foot. That's the other foot, right? The one with
The
the
flat
run
foot.
forward
Yeah,
heels.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go back to this foot. Take a look at it. See, it would be too short from here to here, but she's got very strong cartilages. They're just at least she's got some back here. So, and tight dorsal wall, which is a plus. And she is about 4 inches.
Yeah.
Okay, now we got to keep that in memory. Now, this is the kind of sewing gauge that I love the most. The black ones where you can really see all the deal. I just watched a really funny skit. This reminded me of a funny skit that they did on Saturday Night Live. I'll share it with you guys before we leave, but it's a skit where George Washington is with a bunch of, revolutionary soldiers or whatever, and they're talking about how they're going to form a new nation. And the one thing we're going to have in this nation is we're going to have a different measuring system. And it's just a hilarious skit. But anyway, that's what this reminds me of. I'll share it with you guys so you get a good laugh. All right, so 4 inches, that could give you some room to work with in here. One of the things I see that you need to do a little bit more on is understand about how to take down the toe quarter so that it forms so that it's as it starts coming down, like as if you were to just have a rasp where you were just taking this part down, as you took it down, that's rasping flat on this area from here over to here. Then as you took it down, you would see it change shape, and it would take on the shape of the actual foot. Okay. Now, everybody, pretty much, there are so few people, and it took me a long time to learn, that know how to rasp down from, let's say, from where the quarter starts, all the way through the toe, that knows how to rasp this down. See, part of the problem is they wear the toe more. And then the pillars, what they call the pillars, which are just toe quarters, this area in here, the pillars tend to grow longer because they don't wear this part of the toe as much. I should be annotating while I'm doing this drawing on here.
Yeah, the other foot I did the string method on.
Oh, what'd you say?
The other foot I did the string method on.
Oh,
From
okay,
the front to the heels. Yeah, I should have done this with this one
and
too.
that helps you too with this.
Yeah.
And stuff. But you can see on here how there's how it comes down, but then it's going out like this. See?
Yeah, yeah.
And so when that is happening, that means this part is being left too high. This is one of the hardest areas to trim, these toe quarters. All right, because they tend to grow long, and then since they get weighted, they start to gradually flare out. They not only gradually flare out, but then they can jam up too, make the wall jam up. The wall is growing. I'm not so sure that it like jams up, like it just jams back up this way. But what happens is, because this is weighted so much up here, the growth that is supposed to be coming down from here kind of stays up here, and it raises the whole hairline. See, instead of being able to push down. Let's see. Okay, so you can see now. I know for a fact that these hairlines are like this. Maybe not quite that much, but they dip down here. Okay, so when we look at these, we'll know that. And if you look down here, okay, look at the growth ring here. You got a little bit here, just a little chunk. Okay, and so it shouldn't look quite like that. It should look more like, let's see here, where am I at? It should be more just like this. See? Like that. That's that. But instead, what has happened is this got a little long, because when we look at the foot, we're going to see that it's not going to be shaped like this. Oh, I can't even draw worth a darn. Don't look at those heels. This part here, okay, instead of being shaped like that, it's going to be more out like this. See, that the toe starts to get rounder or square when you're accidentally leaving these toe quarters a little high.
Maybe that's because our eye doesn't see that, because we're used to round hooves.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Because
yeah, I just think of that.
Yeah, we're gonna trim to what's been put in our head.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like with me. I had two different images put in my head. One of a cadaver foot and some other wild feet that actually belong to a barefoot trimming guru, not girl. And they showed the correct foot. All right. But because that image of that heelless, one dead wild horse that wore its heels out is put in our head, that's what we keep trying to trim to. You know, and so I see what happened to me in this other person who teaches people all over the world, who has two of the only wild horse feet that have been dissected online, lots of pictures of them. But because that image of that one foot with no heels was put in his head, he can't see what he has in front of him. And of course, I couldn't see it either because I looked at his page for years, you know, and even though I saw that foot with all that heel, both internally and externally, I still had that one little triangular no-heeled foot in my head. And so that's what I kept trying to trim into my horse. So you're right. We have been taught to see, and look, every single logo that all these people put on their pages, you know, advertising, being professional trimmers, etc., they're round.
Yeah.
So it's just pressed at us from every area. But that is not. And see, here's the thing I noticed too. I could see something was supposed to be a certain way, but it really was difficult to train myself to see it the right way, and then to try and figure out how to even get it there. You know, so what I'm showing you here is many parts that gradually came together over a long period of time. And then even now, really practicing that when I am doing a trim, when I am taking it, because see, I want to take more toe than heel. Okay, so if your foot is like this, okay, you want to take more toe than heel. You barely take anything here. Of course, you know, if they've grown clear out here, yeah, you're going to take more off. But let's say they're just about 2 inches or so, then, you know, my rasp, I'm going to barely even take any in here. And it's going to just get gradually more up to here. See there?
Yeah.
So you think about that on this foot, about right here. You know, you start a process of rasping. Now you're going to just take off that much there first. But as you rasp, you're going to take less here and start taking more here. You're going to take out this wedge here. And so as you get to this part here, see, which would be this part here, you have to remember that the foot is shaped like this on the side. See? So,
Yeah.
so you would, like if you were doing this, if you took this foot right now and you from here back over to here, you just started blending that down, because the foot grows what? It grows down and forward. So then if you're to take off from here to here, you got the foot turned over, you're going to be, as you rasp it down, it also is taking this all back. See?
Yeah.
So to practice, I'll try and get a bunch of pictures together, and I will try and I just keep saying I'm going to do these cadaver feed. I'd really like to really concentrate on this area and helping people understand how to trim these toe quarters, because when I started doing that, I really started seeing a lot of changes. I mean, I've been trying to do it for a long time, but when I just kept honing my skill on it and being able to read it, then it got better, because you figure if this is high and long, it's just going to hold. Well, your heels back here, everything's tubules, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if this gets high and long and forward, let's say into here, okay, it's going to pull everything back here. If you've got any run forward tubules, it's just going to hold all of this here right where it
Yeah.
is.
Forward. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we really have to learn to hone our skills and understand how to do these corners. Toe corners.
Yeah.
Toe corners. We'll call them the toe corners. Everybody else wants to rename everything. Toe corners. And so, okay, let me undo that. Now, you have 4 inches.
Yeah.
You've got a good half-inch to do about anything with, just so you know.
Okay.
Let's see. To practice, you could go in there now. You could start taking this down from here to here, and you would see the foot change shape. You would see it go from this here okay, you would see it go
Mm-hmm.
from that to this just by rasping this area here flat,
Yeah.
going
Mm-hmm.
back this way like that. And of course we're trying to make kind of as flat a surface as we can and stuff by taking off this little wedge here. Okay, so let me get out of there. Okay, let's
And I've been kind of careful because she goes riding every day, or sometimes 2 times a day, and I don't want to have her
yeah,
cripple or.
yeah, which
I just yeah.
yeah, you got a lot of foot to work with, so you can take this down. Like you could take it down to where probably about to here, and you would see it change shape.
Yeah.
And just taking that little bit down and then doing a little bevel like what you got here,
Mm-hmm.
that's going to start to help her without making her sore.
Okay.
Okay. So,
Linda,
yeah.
I'm sorry, this is Eleanor. I just
Hi.
from Hungary. Hi, I was able to get on the call just now, and I'm so happy because I'm battling the same thing with several of my horses and I just really it's very uncomfortable to admit it that I caused problem to my horses, but I did, and I did the same. It's the same on practically like 2 horses survived, and I have 3, including a yearling with the same problem on the right front.
Okay.
It's something maybe how I have crookedness in my body. I'm trying to work it out. But my question is anyway, when you say that to take down that side that has the deformity, it means that the medial lateral balance will not be balanced because if you take two, like if you take it on the side that you're saying, then it will be, in a sense, a shorter side, right? Though it's pushed up. I understand the logic, but it's just something that concerns me, and maybe I don't understand it clearly.
Oh no, that's okay. Actually, it isn't going to affect your medial lateral balance because you're going to be taking both sides down to a certain degree. You're going to be leveling out. And another thing that'll happen is the wall, if there's wall jammed up here, it's going to excise out down the bottom.
Right.
You know,
but
see,
what we're aiming at is that the gradually letting the hoof on the deformed side to slide down, basically, but we need to keep as close to medial lateral balance as possible.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's more frequent and kind of letting the hoof, that deformed part of the hoof slide down, basically, with that sort in mind.
Yeah, okay. And see, something else that's going to happen is all this is being forced forward and out of place. And so everything in that foot is pulling on it.
Yeah.
And so it's going to pull it all back into place. And when it does, like it's going to do this. Just a minute here. It's going to do this, like this here is right here, but it needs to be here. You understand?
Yes.
And shorter. Okay, so what happens is, even though you think you have made this big imbalance there and stuff, what happens is, here, let me undo this first, just a second here. Okay, what happens is, okay, so you trimmed it up to here, let's say, okay, and then beveled it a little bit. Well, guess what? All this here is going to go like this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so
yeah.
And so what does that do? That straightens out where you think you may have medial laterally imbalanced it, because see, this is stretched forward here and it wants to come back here, but it can't because it's wedged on the ground right there. So when you give it a little room with the bevel, you take it down, you got to take it down, and then you give it a little room with the bevel, because see, the sole has grown too thick and been stretched forward in that area. Okay, so when you take it down and then you bevel it a little bit, okay, everything in here, let me get right there, it's going to, the whole wall can move back like this. Now I'm trying to keep it the same distance, about like so. And so the sole, everything, all of it will suck back up into the foot where it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Say you won't keep that big of an imbalance in that foot
for a long time.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
And see, you have to give up one thing. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you could keep a distorted foot and think you have a great balance in the front, but in reality, it's built up sole, there's tearing in the wall, there's inflammation, because your fingernail has to fit to your finger, right?
Yeah.
So that hoof capsule has to fit to that foot in a specific way. And so you can see right here, see the crack right there? We know that all this wall is being forced forward right there, and that wall said, I'm not going anywhere.
That crack wasn't there when I started. It appeared during my starting trimming.
Yeah, because everything's changing and wanting to move. This part's moving back. Do you see?
Yeah, I think I can show you a picture where I first started.
Yeah, this part's
maybe
moving back.
I did send you that.
Yeah, so
in a side by side.
Okay, I'll look at it. But let me explain something. So
yeah,
you have to determine why a crack is somewhere. Like if you came to this foot and the crack was there,
no,
then the crack is there because the heels were being trimmed out. And as they were getting put at a different angle, like so. And so all of them just kept pushing till they got right here, and then the wall in front of it wouldn't push anymore. And so it cracks there. Okay. But if you come to a foot like this, let me undo this, and it didn't have a crack, and then it develops a crack, what's going on? Well, you've been growing the heel back here that was like this. Okay, you've been growing heel, so the back of this foot is standing up. Okay, so what's happening? It's pulling all this part of the foot back and standing it up. Do you see there? Okay, but because you're leaving the toe quarter long.
Quarters too high, yeah.
And they can't come back. They're wedged there.
Yeah.
And so what happens is these pulled back and the crack developed there because the foot is stuck in front by the toe quarter.
Yeah.
Do you understand structurally?
Yeah. Yeah, I understand.
How that happens?
Yeah.
And so we can look at stuff, like I always say, when you look at these feet, are they coming or going? You know, because you could have a foot that somebody's barefoot trimming and it's going, you know, or you could have a foot that had been barefoot trim and somebody's growing the heels back to it and it's coming, you know, it's coming back to where it should be. So like I'm always, are they coming or going? You know, so you could.
Yeah, and that's where the pictures help very much.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And understanding, like if I just looked at that and you hadn't said that crack wasn't there when I started, I would have assumed that this crack had developed earlier from trimming out the heels. That because remember when we started this, I said, when you trim out the heels, you take away the stability of the heel buttress that stabilizes the whole thin hoof capsule wall. And then all you've got here is sidewall, which has no strength. And so the weight of the horse on that sidewall is going to push the wall forward, which is also doesn't necessarily mean it has to, but it's not only going to push these horn tubules forward, and just like dominoes, chink, 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 okay, it not only pushes them forward, but it can, where it won't push forward anymore, it can push it out and make a flare here.
Yeah.
See? So you have to quit being afraid of creating some major imbalance, because what has happened is your feet get distorted, and then
that was Elena. Elena was scared of imbalance.
Yeah, I know. I'm talking to her.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's okay. Actually, Linda, I have one more question. I'm sorry that I'm just
no, that's okay. That's okay.
But you see, because I have several feet like this with much more severe of what we're looking at, and the yearling has like you can visibly see the rotation. So what I see, and I dealt with that when I just met you, I started following you. It was also like a 2-year-old right front, and the hoof rotated. So that made me think that if the hoof is short, the opportunity for rotation is less. And because, you know, the yearlings, they grow feet really quickly. And now we had a bit of, and it's like you go 1 week, again, you have to trim. And realistically, it's not really very difficult when you're working and everything to take care of this feet on such regular basis. So what happened, I have the hoof that started to rotate because he got a little bit longer, and the rotation happens much faster because laws of physics, right? And like geometry or whatever, architecture. But what is interesting, what the thought, maybe there is some sense to it, because the other side, like this one is run forward, right? And jumped up. But the other side is very steep and is getting almost pulled under the foot. That's what is happening usually in such cases. So what my always question when I just look at this feet, how to approach beveling the other side. that one more steep, because this one is like pulling and rotating the hoof, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you start beveling the tubules on the other side, you're creating more opportunities for movement and rotation. So my way of thinking was maybe to keep the tubules on the other side put, so they don't move more, so they don't get pulled. And I don't know whether there is any merit into this thought. What do you think? Do you think bevel on the other side would actually make things worse, because it will provide more opportunities for movement in the wrong direction, in a sense, right? Well, maybe it makes sense to keep the bevel to a minimum, or keep the contact with the ground more, so the tubules are held by the pressure of the ground and not go into rotation. Though maybe it doesn't really help the situation, but that was my thoughts, and they're on my mind, so I'm just expressing and sharing them.
That's okay. I'm understanding what you're saying. I mean, I know that this is like a puzzle.
And it's such a delicate balance, I guess. You just need to experiment and really pay attention to what is happening.
Well, that and there's a balance there too, between taking too much and not taking enough. And sometimes not taking enough can be as bad as taking too much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you're afraid,
Yeah.
because you were working so hard at getting these feet straightened up, and it's like, okay, if I do this, am I going to ruin all my work?
Well, that's what I'm doing right now, just trying not to pull all of my hair.
Yeah, I understand exactly how you feel. And see, what I learned, because my feet got way asymmetrical, really wide on one side, but they also got real compressed and narrow on the other, because, as it's all one unit, right? So if something moves on one side one way or another, it's going to affect the other side. And so the sole on like this side was like thin and hollowed in the heel, but on the other side it was thick and compressed.
Yes.
And more condensed. And so one thing, of course, that deal that we talk about, how if I have a more upright heel, and this was it too, the heel on the other side was way more upright than the heel on the lateral side. And so, figured out that deal just to try and create an internal balance, to where I would trim that side like sometimes even a fourth of an inch shorter than this side. Like the medial side, I was trimming a little bit shorter.
They're more upright.
Yeah, the more upside, a little bit shorter, so that the weight distribution would be more balanced of the actual foot. Even though his foot is pulled down, it still was a little more balanced. But you look
cartilages, because this side, the one is more run forward, will have more bent cartilages, right? So the cartilage on the more run forward side will appear higher. Though
it appears higher, but it's really lower. It's really pulled down. But it kind of makes it higher in a weird way, because the foot is tweaked. It's like I gotta figure out a way to explain. Like, if you had to put your hand and you pushed one bulb up and pulled one bulb down, like, what's that going to do to the overall hoof capsule? It's going to tweak the whole thing.
It's just, I think, the best way to show it, because you take the P3, you need to put something under it, and you actually, because the more run forward side will be the side where the curling of the heel, the internal heel, will appear, and the push into the navicular bone will be manifesting more, and the more upright side will actually be the more normal side, but probably on that side what will happen that the bulbs will be curved in, and the heel, usually what the heel does, it curves in because of the pool. This is the most typical scenario that I see. And then you imagine this inside, because you actually need to push the heel, that is the internal heel that is curled, right? That is deformed, which is this side. You need to give them more elevation. So it makes sense to elevate this side more and not think about the outside. You need to think about the inside, right? To correct it.
Say that again? No.
I will draw you a picture.
You know, Megan, is Megan here? Megan had this dilemma.
Yeah, hi Linda, I'm listening.
Hi. Okay, good. So you understand her dilemma, don't you?
100%.
Okay, so why don't you explain to her? See, I don't know if you were here when we got into this discussion over this issue. Okay, and so Megan did the opposite of what I said she should do, because in her mind, and I totally understand, it made sense, didn't it? You know?
Yes, it made sense.
And so she actually left. I don't remember what happened, but exactly. Why don't you explain to her? You explain.
So,
Megan? Yeah, hi, Eleanor.
Hi, I think we should have some private chats quite soon. Anyway.
Absolutely. I will try and explain, but I liked what Eleanor said just now about visualizing what's happening on the inside of the foot, not on the outside. So I'm not sure if what I'm going to say is going to make sense, but on the outside.
Well, before we go there, okay, let's look at an inner foot, okay, because we don't want to visualize what's going on the inside. We just want to visualize the actual foot. Okay, so let's just take a look here at the actual foot. So hold on here a second, and so that we can think about it, because well, anyway, just let me go find.
We can even draw on this foot, because it's a good example also.
Yeah, let's see here. Where am I at? Good. Okay.
But it would be good to have both views, so we can draw simultaneously, because for some people it's very difficult to imagine it, and if we show it side by side, then it's kind of maybe more a better visual, I guess.
Okay. Well, here, let's just look, but let's just look at some feet here quick first, okay? To remember that we're dealing with, you know, okay, do you see that foot there? Everybody there?
It's just a small thumbnail, Linda.
Oh, why? New share. There we go. How's that? Do you have a regular picture now?
Yes.
Okay, so one thing we got to remember is that only one third of this foot is bone. Okay, so now this part right here is bone. Everything in the center and around is all fat and cartilage. They can just be moved up and down and around, and you know, this bulb can be pushed up, the other one can be pushed down under, and so you can kind of tweak your whole foot, you know. So okay, let's just keep looking at some of these feet now. Look at our foot here, kind of had that situation going. See there? Now, internally, even though this bulb here was kind of pulled down a little bit, maybe not so much pulled down, but the heel was kind of pushed forward. You see that? And this heel over here was more upright, and this side was wider, and this side was narrower. And you can see that on the foot there too. See how that bulb is wider and that bulb is narrower? You know, I don't know. Maybe I think they're supposed to be the same, but you never know. You know, it's like kind of your breast. You have one bigger than the other. But so this side had a little bit of asymmetry to it. But if we look in here, okay, we can see that there was relative balance, but this side is a little bit shorter than this side. And so this is the balance that was going on in that foot right there. It's not too bad, really. And in fact, because this is kind of at a slant, if we were to get this perfectly level, internally, the horse was pretty balanced. Let's look at this. Now, see, you can't even see, well, I'm looking at this view, so you can't see that heel over there, but there's his heel there in the inside. So this is lateral side, that's the internal side. So this will just give you an idea what's going on, how your capsules fit in your horse's foot. Now you can tell that it really shoved this bulb narrower together, and this one kind of got spread out. Okay, so, but the nice thing about this horse, it had a very straight coronary band, had a little jamming there, as you can see, and stuff. And on this horse, I'm going to tell you that the pillars were high and long, because a farrier did this horse. He left heel. He did take more toe, but he didn't know how to shape the toes. But all in all, this was a pretty good foot. Okay, so there was no wear in the toe, which was good. Let's see here. Now there, how about that? You can see where the sole ridge grows. See, it doesn't get concave till right here. Now my thing just quit working. Why did you do that? Hold on. Yep. You know what happens when that goes on, right? Your deal decides to quit working. So now I got to wait for a minute. Come on. Well, anyways, here's your whole foot. You can hardly see it because the computer's fizzing out on me. But what I want you to remember, okay, oh, well, it didn't leave me. How about that? What I want you to remember here is, let me do an annotate here. Okay, different color. Let's just do white. Is that your coffin bone is just about here. And all of this is soft cartilage and fat. Okay. So if you leave a pillar long, it's going to also stretch the sole out. Stretch the sole out in the side here too. Okay. And the sole will build up. And you're going to have to sacrifice some of what you think is balance in the toe there, maybe to get things about right, to get the wall so that it will back up to where it's in the right position there. Let's see, just a minute here. Let me undo this.
Linda, could I ask you a question, please?
Sure.
So are you saying that the sole plane or the sole level is not necessarily an accurate guide for those toe pillar areas, toe quarter areas?
Yeah, not when it's stretched out. You know, it just depends. the sole only grows to about 3/4 of an inch, and then it dies and must be exfoliated unless it retains dead sole, which gets compacted and then turns waxy looking and looks like live sole. So yeah, you can build up sole here in the toe quarter from here to here on this turn here. See, look at this is a front foot. Okay. This is a front foot. Let me move some stuff. I got stuff in the way. Let me get a annotate again. It is so important to get your front toes fitting your horse, if at all possible. Now, there can be, if they have been misshapen for a long time, there can be some remodeling of the way it is. Let's see here, just a minute here. Okay, so normally your sole, which is going to be right around here, and of course it's going to be about this much thicker away. Oops. Okay, so you have to learn how to rasp this area right here so it is shaped like your foot. All right. And so if you don't, because it can control the rest of the foot. Any one part of this foot that takes over and gets out of bounds will control and the rest of the foot and keep you from advancing in your restoration to the anatomically correct foot. This area here, if you get like it can get to be looking like this. See how that makes it wider? Oh God, I know I'm not a very good drawer. See how I've made the foot round? Sometimes it looks square because you allowed this wall here to get too high, and it gradually started being pulled out into a kind of a flare here. And as it did, it just pulled the sole with it. And wherever it pulls the sole, a lot of times, these horn tubules, okay, from the bottom of the foot, they grow down about 3/4 of an inch to an inch, and then they die. Okay, they have to be at a certain angle, just like your horn tubules, in order to reach optimum thickness of sole. And so if this area here, this wall here, pulls away, and now you got a white line out here, but your sole is clear out into here, all this, instead of close in the shape of the foot where it's supposed to be. Then these sole tubules, instead of being upright, they're gonna start laying down. Where am I here? Just a second. Instead of being upright like this, they're gonna be pulled out, and they're gonna be pulled this way, and your sole will actually start to get thinner here, instead of having all this backed up under here where you got a nice sole ridge, growing around the toe around here. See, you got a sole ridge that grows around here like so. Well, I mean, around the whole thing. Okay. And then, you got, your white line here right there. And so this is your sole ridge right here. And it grows around the whole, you can see his, you see his here? Okay. It grows around the whole perimeter of the toe, and it just extends beyond the actual foot a little bit out to here, into here. This is all sole ridge right in here, all this that this horse is supposed to grow like he grows his own horseshoe right in here. And so if you let this get too high, it gradually starts pulling that sole. The wall will pull out this way. It makes you look like you have a round toe or a square toe. And so the sole starts to get thicker here. I wonder if I could do that. Pull out, and it starts to stretch out over this way and get wider. Wider, 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 wider. It can pull way the heck out there to where instead of now your white line is right there where it's supposed to be. See, it moves the white line too so that you don't even know you got stretched sole here. Now your white line's out here and your wall is out here. See? And you've got this area here of stretched sole, and a lot of times it's going to be thin because it's been stretched out there. And that is all from leaving this area right here high, accidentally high. Okay. And so what you got to do is you got to learn how to read it, how to take it down so that that wall will suck back in and bring the sole back under the sole ridge where it belongs. Let me get rid of some of this stuff. Look like kids scribble picture.
Linda, would a diagnostic tool be if you're looking at the foot and you don't have a concentric shape? Would that indicate that you've let it grow too far and out?
Yeah, that could.
Make sense?
I think that's the string method. It's very, very useful for that.
That helps. I know it's helping you because yours isn't that bad, by the way. But it's still, I don't know if the string method will. I think you're going to have to detail more of this area right in here. See, string method will help you from about here to here. And because I know what Holly is talking about there, but I don't think it helps enough with this one area. Just see this little turn right here. This area gets so it can become so easily distorted. And so the way that you just have to, this is what I did. I just started trusting this picture I'm looking at. I started telling myself, I don't care what this wall says. I know my horse's foot is shaped like this. Okay. And so I'm going to rasp it to where it is shaped like this. Now, if you've got some distortion, some stretched out pillar, toe quarter right here, toe quarter right here, this area, if it's stretched out there, now you can't, it's already thin maybe, you just have to take it down somewhat, get it shaped up, start getting it shaped, get the wall beveled there somewhat, and start reading the growth rings and the hairline in that area as well. See, look at this one here. Now, this horse was wide and high in this area. Okay, you can see it over here on the hairline of the capsule. See that right there? That's the hairline. That's coronary band groove right in here. Okay, and so this is the corner here. Well, that's not it. That's on the other side. But anyway, so you have to read this hairline, and you have to read the growth rings. See, you read all these things. You look first at the shape of your foot. Is my foot shaped like a foot is supposed to be shaped? Now, this is a front foot. If it was rear foot, it would be even more spady shaped. See? Because all of this is keeping us from advancing. It kept me from advancing in the restoration process because we start trimming to the distortion and letting the distortion rule the roost. And a lot of it for us is fear over imbalances and I mean things like that, because this is what people have put in our head, you know. Yeah, I know you guys go around and check out other groups. That's okay. All right. But people are always talking about, balance this, balance that. Balance is important. Uh, but having a correctly fitted hoof capsule is way more important, because if you get a correctly fitted hoof capsule, that's going to take care of your balance issue for the most part. Everything's going to be where it should be, growing at the angle it should be, maintaining its own area where it should be. And so, you grow the capsule to fit the foot, and it's going to take care of, for the most part, of its own balance. Now, what's interesting as I'm looking at this foot is that this allowing the toe quarters to get forward and long, which this foot had, did create a situation. Now I'm thinking this side of the foot was the inside medial. And this side of the, see how this foot is a little wider? Okay, remember the bulb was wider. This foot's a little, look at the heel, the angle of the heel. Look at the angle of the heel over here, more upright, smaller bulb. So this heel had been allowed to kind of go forward. Probably they trimmed it out a little too much because they don't know how to read feet. But as far as feet go, this is a pretty darn good foot. And so we see an imbalance that was created in the very foot itself by allowing the toe quarters to get long and forward, which you'll see when we look at the foot in a certain way. So you have to give up a little here so that you can get stuff to move to come back and fit the foot. The thing about it is this coffin bone, this cartilage will do anything. It'll go anywhere. The cartilage, all this is cartilage and soft tissue. Okay, your coffin bone's here. Well, it's kind of narrow in there. It's covered with that stuff. That stuff, we're so scientific here. Okay. Okay, so your coffin bone can have some remodeling. Look, you got a divot in the toe here. Okay. When you allow an imbalance in the hoof capsule to stay there for a long time, it will remodel the coffin bone. But I think also that if you correct and get your foot back again, that it can gradually perhaps remodel back. Why not? It's a spongy, soft bone, and anything you can do, as far as I'm concerned, to make things more correct in the back part of this foot is going to benefit the front part of this foot. So, I know how you feel about, oh, well, if I do that, it's going to screw up the balance, and stuff. But you have to screw up the balance because it's a false balance to begin with. If your toe is real wide here and your toe quarters are all pushed up and everything like that, you're going to have to give some in order to get this corrected and maybe do something you may not feel the most comfortable at first. But in the long run, then your toe quarters are going to come back and start fitting correctly. Your foot's going to be shaped the way it's supposed to. And that's what you want to do to protect this foot and the shape of this foot. So let's see. Clear all my drawings. Let's move on here and look at some more pictures. See? Oh, you can't save that. Oh, crying out. I shouldn't have done that. You're not going to save it? It's going to say I can't save that. Now I got. Okay. Let's let that lay for a little bit and we'll see. I'm going to have to try and close it. See what I mean? I wonder if I can do. Okay, good. Let's see. All right, well, we lost the screen share. Just a minute here. Let me see if I can get back to that. Okay, let's go to that. Okay. We always have to remember that what we're trying to trim to and fit is the inner foot. The inner foot. Why is this thing doing this? Just a minute. Hold on. To-do. Let's see. Share. Let's close that. Okay. Share. There we go. Okay, I'm back. Okay. All right. So let's look at a few more pictures here. There wasn't a lot of imbalance in this capsule, but this horse could have been helped had that farrier understood about how the toe quarters can control the foot. She had pretty good heels, but these toe quarters, this one especially, and this heel got forward, and that toe quarter got too high and kind of controlled what went on with this side of the foot. But you can see how what we were talking about, how you get one side that's real compressed and narrow, and you get another side that's kind of wide. You can even see it here under the coffin bone, how it reshaped the coffin bone a little bit. But you got to remember that 2/3 of that foot is soft cartilage and fat that you can push back into place. Hopefully, anyway. Okay, am I screen sharing?
Yep.
Okay, good. Okay, so we'll just take some more looks here. See, anyway. Okay, so now this foot was not shaped too bad. It doesn't have a real round toe, okay? But there was a little bit of separation right in here due to the long pillars. But it had not wholly adversely affected the foot, but you can see how it is a little asymmetrical on this side. Not like, well, what a lot of us are experiencing, you know, not like with me. I mean, the side of my horse's foot went way out like that and was way narrow over here on all 4 feet. Okay. You know, this is just so you know. Looky here. You know how I was telling you, just a minute here. Let me get that. You know how I was telling you that, okay, so when we measure from the true apex of the frog, where this would be very close, if you trim down to the true apex, where the apex merges with the sole, you're going to be pretty close to being right on it. Okay, now remember, this sole corium lips up over the outside, and so the sole will grow at least that far out away from the actual foot itself. Just so you know. Okay, that's why we do the 1.5 inches, which is right here. Okay, let's see here. Let me undo that. Anyway, I was just measuring that foot all over the place. Okay, now she's going to want to freeze up on me again. Nothing like computer freezing. Well, let's go through some more of Sandra's pictures while we're waiting for that to unfreeze. Okay, so now, Sandra, you got to right to that apex. So that is really, really, really good. Okay?
Yeah, that was clear, obvious.
The foot told you that.
Yeah.
You know, the foot was talking to you. You know, and did she jerk her foot away and jump and say, "Don't touch me"?
No.
No, she didn't feel it, did she?
No.
Because this foot will bleed before you ever get into the soul corium. I want you to know that. Okay? Because okay, you know just how you can barely scrape your skin and it'll bleed?
Yes.
But you're not into the flesh, right?
No.
You know, so that's what this does. This, you know, is there just to warn you that you're getting close to the soul corium. There will still be a very thin layer of translucent soul right about there. I've seen blood leach through soul. There's still soul there, but a droplet of blood will leach through it. So if you happen to do that, don't feel too bad and stuff, because everybody's got to learn. We would, of course, always rather not, but I'm sorry, if you're going to do this, it's just going to happen on occasion.
Yeah, and I had a really dull knife, and I had just got a new one.
Oh, yep.
So I was kind of a bit too enthusiastic.
Yeah, yeah. See, so I can relate to that too. Okay, so these are the feet I love. The ones that look like club feet.
Okay, still sharing the picture of the cadaver foot.
Yeah, see, I was going there. I was sharing on. I was looking at your other foot there.
Yeah.
And we'll go back to some more of that other too, and we'll wrap it all up and come back around, align it so that we can help you in the whole situation that we're explaining here too. Okay, so this is 3 3/4 cents. That's pretty good. There's left front. See, I think you're doing good. And look at this. This actually looks pretty good. Okay. You just need to take off just a little bit more here.
Okay.
Okay. Just take it down a little bit more. Let's see. Was this left front?
Oh, that's the right front.
Okay. See, you're doing pretty good. Look at that. Look at the shape of your foot.
Yeah, it's becoming better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay. That looks real good. See? And stuff. And you can see her. See the little blood in there?
Yeah, I was wanting to ask you about that because last week, a week before this trim, I did her quarters through the string method, and I had to take quite a bit off.
Yeah.
And she wasn't bleeding then in the wall, but when I was doing this trim, she had a little blood there.
Yeah.
Should that did that came from the?
No. Yeah. What that is from is just that your pillars are a little high. Your toe quarters were a little high.
Yeah, so and I took it off the week before, and is it all shifting back, and that's why it's a little bit bloody?
That it'll happen from that. It'll also happen when this area is left a little too high and there's pressure on it. You know, because you took it down good through the string method, but remember how I was saying the string method may not fully get as much as you need to get in this toe pillar.
Yeah, but I did a week before. I did quite aggressively take down this quarter.
Yeah, well, that's not too much there, and that can also be from the whole toe moving back, the whole wall being able to now come back because from what I see here, right, well, here, that doesn't look too bad there, but what I was seeing over, what was I looking at? I was just looking at something. Okay, here. This is the same foot, right?
No, that's left.
Oh, crap.
The other one is the right one.
This one is the right one. Okay, well,
Yeah,
let's
that's
look
the
at the left.
upright foot.
Okay. I wanted to look at that one. Oh, well.
The upright foot?
No, the other one. I wanted to look
The
at the
flat foot.
sole. Okay, which foot is this? The flat
That's
foot?
the flat. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you took down, well, we don't have a picture of you, the trim you did on this foot, do we?
Yeah, we do. If we
We
this
do?
is before trim. I just did the
Okay.
apex and the mapping.
Okay. I'm just having a heck of a time here. Which foot is that again?
What one?
Left front or right
This,
foot?
this is the flat foot. This is the right foot after trim.
Okay. Okay. Well, you can see on this foot that the sole here in the toe quarter is thinner. Okay, because this foot is more forward
Stretched. Yeah.
and stretched. So as these pillars, because see, you're getting them down pretty good, I think. And so as you, like, you could bevel that just a little more right there. But as you work on getting the shape of this foot right, it's going to really help push all this back here. And it could be too, you may have to clean up a little more of this, and you will find out that your sole may be thin under here.
Yeah.
Because the heels have, collapsed forward and are kind of setting over the sole. So let's see.
Yeah, her bars were in the beginning very much laying over the sole.
Well, see, and
that's the same foot from the lateral side.
Yeah. Let me go back to that. Trying to do. Okay. Yeah. So see this area here? Okay. See how that's a little long there?
Yeah.
So you just need to take that down a little bit. Sometimes you can look at these too. Like, I look at them from the side and I'll look and like this here, you could take that down area down a little flatter. Now you take the string and you put it up here and take it to the toe, right? Or the heel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then but you want to look at them too. Now what's interesting is you almost got what do we call those? My brain is dead.
Mine too.
Not a chunk out. It's not a chunk.
No.
What are we calling those?
Cupping? No.
Oh, where you got
a notch.
Notch. Thank
yeah.
you. The word was gone from my brain. That's almost a notch,
Yeah.
And stuff. So you could come and take some of this off right here. When you look at the picture, sometimes trim by picture too. You can trim and go, okay, I could take that flat right there to where if you look from here to here, it would just be straight.
Yeah.
And that's going to help all that want to be able to move back more. And if you just kind of bevel this a little more here, that's going to help all this want to just pull back this way. Okay, and it's that other foot. No offense, I hate these kind of feet. I'm like, oh my God.
It looks so small.
I know. So what it do on those kind of feet? It's like, because they are almost like a club foot. And
yeah.
What I really look at on these feet, something you might want to do is let the toe grow a little bit to create a little bit of leverage to pull this forward.
Yeah.
But
so the stupidest thing is she drags that toe. What she shouldn't do, she does.
And maybe she does that because she's so bound up there in the back.
Yeah, could
because because that's what is going on, is they're bound up in the back. And in her case, like a lot of times, the dorsal wall will kind of give and pull things forward. But in her case, what I see, and I could be wrong, is that it's a bound foot, that all this is bound up in here, pushing up into there, which has made the coffin bone basically rotate down. Now, not rotation in the sense of rotation where it came loose from the inside the dorsal wall and stretched the lamina, but instead this dorsal wall is stuck to that foot and is going exactly where it goes. And so when all this anatomy got pushed up into that coffin joint and it got pushed forward, dorsal wall, everything just sucked back like that. And so every very upright foot, very compact.
Yeah.
This to me is not her real heel. This is sidewall, and the rest of that foot is bound up and shoved in there somehow and covered up with that little frog. Well, look, you can see her bulbs, how they come around. Look
Yeah.
at that one, how it comes around into there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I would let me save this image so I can turn it over. Aha. Just a minute. New share.
That's the forward run. That's the left one.
That's the forward one?
Yeah.
Good thing you're here. Okay, let me go find the other one. Well, that's all right. We want to look at that one anyway.
RF. That's the right front. That's one
That's the
you
one we
were
want to
looking
look
at.
at. Right front
Yeah.
is the clubbish foot.
Yes.
Well, where are you? Is this it?
I'm still looking at left.
Oh,
Maybe you're
okay.
not sharing?
No, okay, I got right front here. Let me do a reshare. Screen share. Is that it? Right front, right?
I have a black screen.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, that's the right front.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me save that. It's part of the reason my computer's working so slow, because I've got so many pictures. I got to do something. Okay. See, I want to look at the heels on this too. So if I could see up here a little more, I'd be able to tell more of what's going on here. But I'm pretty sure that it's got to be bound up in the back there. So let me go up here and look at right front, rear, the back of the right front. Yeah, just a second.
That one, yeah.
There it is. Okay, we know this is happening. Let me, I'm going to save this and then flip it over. Okay. Okay. So we know that this foot is bound because you see this here. That is that periopal rope.
Yeah.
And so all this anatomy, well, and then you look at these cartilages. See that? Pull down, pull down like that. Like from the side, it doesn't look that pulled down, but from back here, this cartilage shouldn't be going clear down to there like that, right in here.
No.
but you just look at this right here. This here, this thing, this is a periopal rope that is binding and holding this whole foot down here. I want to look at the bottom of the foot again.
I forgot to take pictures from the side
Economic
view.
heel.
Yeah, looking down on it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. Well, one way or another, we know that this foot is bound and sucked up in under here. You know, I don't. Oh. Just from this, see this piece here? That is not a
Yeah.
frog stay. That and
No,
this is
that's clear.
periopal.
She had that butterfly on her frog with the ropey thing.
Yeah. Yeah, periopal rope.
Yeah.
So, you know, it would be interesting if you started taking just a little of this out to see what would start happening here. I mean,
Yeah, okay.
I have to look at her foot. I mean, if her bulbs were to release, is there anything to come into? You know?
Yeah, that's
So,
what I'm afraid of because
yeah.
it's such a tiny capsule.
Yeah. Well, let me go back. So, if you could take some more pictures, so that we can kind of like a picture like this, but holding the foot up.
Yeah.
And aiming down at the heels, but then you tip the foot up and you take a series of pictures up and down.
Okay.
You know, then we can look at it and try and decide how best to release it. Because
yeah, because is she gonna tear out of the capsule?
Yeah,
the
we
owner's
don't
gonna
want
freak
that.
out, and I can forget it.
Yeah, that's it. So we don't
Yeah.
want that to happen.
No.
So we need more pictures to look at to think of a gradual way to help her kind of start releasing this foot without it just going blah.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Okay.
If it was my horse, I wouldn't be too frightened for it, but
Yeah.
this case is different.
Oh yeah, you got to be careful. You know, well, we're careful anyway. You know,
Yeah.
even with our own horses, we don't necessarily
Sure.
want that.
No, okay.
You
But
know, but
just, yeah.
more so when it's somebody else's horse.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, I would have to see more pictures to decide what to do there. But as far as like your other foot, you're headed in a good direction. Just keep going in that direction. I do want to look at the back of that foot. Where am I at here?
Can I say something?
Yes.
My horse looked exactly the same. And I have the feeling that I have a really, really good farrier.
Uh-huh.
And he really made an effort at that point of really cleaning out the sides of the frog.
Okay.
Really to the back.
Okay.
And
like clear back in here.
Yes, yes, actually there, yes.
Okay.
And
I
then
sent you one over, Linda.
What?
I sent you another one over. That's from a little while ago.
Okay.
That I took a picture of the back.
Okay. Connie, go ahead and finish what you're saying there.
Yes, and then, as you say, the apex of the frog, he really made that clean. Well, of course, he cleaned the whole frog.
Good.
But because he had these low heels like that, the frog really had ground contact. And well, he was not lame, but he sure had a little bit of, what shall I say? He was sore.
Yeah. So,
but at the same time, the frog went back.
And it really helped the frog.
Yes, because he really got some height in the frog to
Okay.
grow.
Okay.
And actually the frog and the heels were, but he really made an effort of cleaning the bars, really put the bars back into their plane, into their place,
Mm-hmm.
and to the height of the sole.
Uh-huh.
And the next time, because then he put a shoe on,
Okay.
but still cleaned the frog the same way. And now the heels are really, well, then the frog did have relief, but
Uh-huh.
it had some growth. And now he has shoes on and the frog has relief. And he has got shoes on a week ago, and I can see a remarkable difference in
Wow, that's awesome.
how the bulbs release in the back and the whole thing straightens up backwards.
Wow, that's great. I can
Thank you,
see what
Connie.
you're saying. Yeah.
And he's feeling so much better.
I bet.
He's a whole different horse. But I'm also sure that the farrier is really, well, he really knows what he's doing.
Yeah. Well, that's a switch.
So I'm so happy for my farrier.
Yeah, I'm so happy for you and your horse.
Found one who knows what he's doing.
Wow.
So.
Wow. Well, everything you said there, I could just relate to what he was doing and how it could affect the horse. And then when you said, then he put a shoe on it so that the frog was up off the ground, and then you really saw some changes.
Yes,
and the whole back of the foot expand.
Yes, exactly.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. So happy for you.
In the course of a week, the whole back of the foot changed a lot.
Wow. Wow, that is great. And great that your horse feels so good now.
Yes, we are really on the right track, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And just great that you could find a farrier that would do that.
Yes, exactly. Oh man,
like, how did you wind up with him?
Well, it's much of a coincidence because he has actually moved from the south of Germany, close by Austria and Switzerland. And he's really educated. They have a long education where they first must be educated as a blacksmith.
Mm-hmm.
And later on, they have to be educated another 3.5 years with a blacksmith who is certified to take students.
Wow.
And I don't know if it's the education or if they're finally getting, because I also see the same things in Denmark. I live in Denmark, and he moved from the south of Germany to Denmark.
Oh, wow.
So you're very lucky, because normally in Germany, they don't train the anatomically stuff or the anatomy in the blacksmith schools. So hold him.
I have the distinct feeling that things are changing, because also my veterinarian, she is also on the right track with all what you are saying, Linda.
Wow, that's great.
They are all, it's somehow they all realized what definitely not to do. But there are still some who don't put the bars into place.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. But I have they are getting there. Mm-hmm. They are coming the right way, I think.
Mm-hmm. Well, I hope so. That'd be awesome.
But I have to say,
interesting.
Yes, because and another thing is that my horse, he is imported from Iceland.
Uh-huh.
And in Iceland, they are really knowing what they are doing. They have learned that heels are important.
Wow, great.
And my horse, he came from Iceland. He had really big, wonderful feet with heels, and he was also growing a really beautiful shoe and a strong hoof. Mm-hmm. But they also shoe them in Iceland.
Yeah.
Aside from mares with foals and things, horse they are riding, they have all shoes on. And they have all big feet with, well, of course there are exceptions, but
sure. Well, that's really interesting.
My feeling is they are getting there. It's definitely become better. The thing is then that the bare hoof trimmers, they still have the same thing with filing the heels off.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I follow a German site with a physiotherapist.
Uh-huh.
And when one see the feet of the bare hoof trimmers and who the hoof they are shoot, there's a big difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, it's not the shoes,
No,
it's how they trim, huh?
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
See,
exactly.
and you're proving that. See what you're saying. All these people come out and say, "Oh, shoes are bad, shoes are bad." No, it's how they're trimming them.
Yes, exactly.
They're bad.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Yeah.
So, well, that's really awesome and stuff. So,
well,
then I was going to ask you. So, okay, so you got this horse from Iceland, but then
yes.
What happened to his feet that then you needed this farrier to straighten them out?
Oh my goodness! At first, I had a good farrier who was trained in Iceland. Mm-hmm. To shoe him, and that went really well. And then I moved him home to my house. Mm-hmm. And then I got another farrier who trimmed the heels off. Mm-hmm. And then I ran into trouble, really, almost 1.5 years to find one. And I found one, but he is not coming in my area, so I had to drive 2 hours to him.
Wow. Yeah.
And but luckily, now I found one who is coming here, and he is also really. I have a really good feeling about what he's doing, and he is also because of course I want to know, and I ask him a lot of questions, and he's not offended.
Oh, great.
About things I talk about when I say I want this and that and that and this. Mm-hmm. Then he also does it.
That's awesome. Wow.
So I feel lucky right now, and hope.
Yeah, I bet you do. Everybody here's got farrier envy.
Yeah.
Wish I could find somebody like that.
Yeah.
Well, that is really, really, really great news.
So what should I trim the bars up more, Linda?
I
From the
believe
shrub.
so. Yes, I
Okay.
do. I do believe you need to define the bars more.
Okay.
Yes, I do believe that. And thank you, Connie, for sharing such good. It's good to hear good news. You
Yeah,
know what,
sure.
man?
Absolutely.
Okay, so yeah, from what she was saying and stuff too, that's what I've been doing, and it's been making a big difference. Because see, I'm just like everybody else. I can start trimming to a distortion. I'm not even sure it's a distortion. You just think it's the bar, but then it
Yeah.
winds out up being a distorted bar that's in a spot it shouldn't even be,
Okay.
because when the go
Yeah,
ahead.
I thought I trimmed her bars up pretty good.
Well, you did and stuff, but I think you got a top layer, and I don't think you can always get it in one fair swoop.
No, sure.
Because especially in a foot like this, you got to know that bar that's under there is bent into a place it was never supposed to be.
Yeah.
And so whatever bar is growing is not the real bar.
Okay, yeah. Sure, makes sense. Yeah.
Let me just show you this picture here, just a second. Some stuff around. Yeah. Show you a picture of Balor's foot when he had the most beautiful bars, and it was all false. Just a second here. Where are we going? I'm gonna go to pictures. Take me a second to get there. STV. Okay. Let me show you this here. Let's see. New shit. Oh. Okay. New share. Okay, so over here on 11/19.
Yeah.
I thought I had a good foot.
Yeah.
I mean, because look, how we're talking about these feet were all very asymmetrical. Okay. And so you look at this foot right here on this side, left side,
Yeah.
it's not super asymmetrical. It's still a little narrower on the inside than the outside. But when they were really asymmetrical and stuff, I didn't have sole hardly in this heel. It was very thin and stuff because all this was pulled out, pulling the sole out.
Yeah.
And so when I got a lot of that asymmetry straightened up and this wall to come back in, then the sole got thick here in the, I like to call this the heel platform, that sole right there.
Yeah.
And so I thought look at the big strong bars, it looked pretty good here. I'll show you just a minute here. Okay, so look at that. That looks pretty good, but it was all fake. It was all false. It was a false foot, the whole thing. This is not the true sole platform. The true sole platform is covered up and way under this heel here. These heels,
because they're curled in more.
Yeah. There was way more going on here. Let's see if I can find this. Okay, that's not the foot I want to look at. Man, my foot has looked so many different ways. It's like, let's see, where is that foot? Hold on. This was a different time. Okay, right here. See this foot right here? Okay, look at that cartilage.
Yeah.
That is not the way cartilage is supposed to look, right? Well, that cartilage.
It almost looks as if it lifts out of his capsule.
Yeah. That cartilage belonged to this foot. I mean, you can look at this foot and you can see a lot of good things. Looks nice, thick wall, Nice white line all the way around. Ain't got no thrush, nothing like that. Okay, but when you look at the side of the foot, it's saying something's wrong. Not only that, but this bump here. Because, you know, when all this anatomy is pushed up in here, pushes that joint forward, and then you got this bump.
Yeah.
And it's also pushing the toe down, which kind of makes the wall flare out like that. And so I knew, and then, you know, look at it over here. See, doesn't look bad from the front either, really. But this was telling me this foot is lying to me. Okay. You know, these feet got so many different versions. Well, you know, set of circumstances happen. I've talked about it before about figuring out that periopal, that these bulbs are being twisted into here, and that this is periopal. That's not frog stay. That's periopal. And eventually, let me find a place where I started releasing that. So, hold on. Oops. Wait a minute. New share, screen share. Let me look for a good picture here where I started to release that. I mean, well, here. Yes, I think this is kind of ugly. Wait a second. Okay, just a second. I gotta find it. I mean, I could show you a dozen pictures here that show the change that the foot went through, but I'm looking for well, I'll show you this. Just a minute here. New share. I've showed this before. Okay, how this right from here, 1220, this is 12:1, what the foot looked like, but see how round it is still. This is 12:21, still round. Okay, so what I did was I did what she said her farrier did. I started digging out and really thinning down that frog and back and stuff in between the bulbs. And in 3 days, my foot went from that to that. Look at the cartilage.
Yeah.
See, if you look at the cartilage, this is the way the cartilage truly is supposed to be, right here. That extended.
Quite a big foot as she has, right?
Yeah. And so really these horses have more foot. If we were to go right here, mid quarter, right here in the center of the foot and straight down. Let me do this. Wait a minute. Just a second. Get a different color. Okay, so if we were to find the center, okay, like here's the end, about the center of the foot would be right about here. Okay, let's just make that the center. Okay, so when you think of the leg, okay, look at how much more you have behind the leg than you do in front of the leg. You see what I'm saying? That these horses, their foot is supposed to be humongous back here. Okay? Humongous. Big, long, stretched out cartilages. Most of the foot is back here. See? And much less up here.
And that correlates with the inner foot. You have more on the back as in the front.
Yeah. Yep, that's right. Because remember, 1/3 is coffin bone, 2/3 is cartilage and fat.
Yeah.
You know, so you just think of what a difference it makes. Let me put this down here. To have this humongous foot back here, this foundation behind them, and so now this was an experiment. I had a boot, and I put a sock and with conditioners in a plastic bag and a sock over that and put it in a boot and soak it. I soaked it 3-4 days, 4 days.
Yeah.
And doing that plus really trimming up that frog and between the bulbs, like, you know, what you see on yours.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that periopal rope
Yeah.
and cleaning that out, that is what made this foot just go out the back.
Oh,
Now,
okay.
I had a lot of wall. Okay. Now another thing, notice the dish in the toe here.
Yeah.
See, because all that anatomy shoved up into that bone, shoving the joint forward, causes the coffin bone to rotate back, and the low heel causes the hoof capsule to be pulled forward. So you got the toe of the hoof capsule being pulled forward and up, but the toe of the foot being rotated down and back. So
Yeah.
they are actually pulling in opposite directions from one
Yeah.
another.
Yeah.
And so if you look at this foot now, there's no dish in the wall anymore. Now again, this happened over a period of, well, look, from the 21st
3
to
days. Yeah.
now
Yeah.
I have another picture that shows what it was like on the 23rd, because it had expanded, but it's expanded even more here. But one of the main things it did was it took the dish out of the wall. When this expanded and took the bump out of right there, that's where the coffin joint is being pushed forward. It took the dish out of the wall, it took the bump out of there, it straightened the wall out, it straightened the heels up. So just goes to show you how flexible these capsules really are.
Yeah,
You
he
know?
didn't come out of his capsule, Linda. Because
No,
if you look out on the right picture, there is where his cartilage is stood up,
yeah,
it almost seems like there's a crack
yeah,
in this.
almost right there. But see, he had a lot of heel. I've
Yeah.
been growing in heel. This was 19, well, 3 years here, I'm growing in heel. Okay. And
Mm-hmm.
during that time, it's more than just growing in heel. The whole internal foot is deformed. You got to get it all pushed back into place, you know?
Yeah.
And so I knew here that even though this had happened, the rest of the foot, there was things that needed to happen. First of all, the whole frog itself would have to come back and then grow a new frog stay right back here to keep the foot like this. And so since then my boot broke, my experiment went, and the foot, it contracted again. I've seen these feet in wet weather just spread out like that, and then as soon as it dries, they contract up again because the frog stay and the frog is not in the correct spot. So if you were to get the whole thing to move back the way it should, and then you grow the frog stay in, that foot's gonna stay there. That frog would be, see, the frog is still up here.
Yeah.
Even though the cartilage is extended, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
the frog corium and stuff is still up in here, along with sole that's still up in here, that's been shoved forward. Because, you know, when all this gets curled up and shoved forward, it shoves the frog corium forward, it shoves the bars up, it shoves the sole corium forward. Everything is kind of displaced and growing from the wrong position because that covering, that tissue covering, that corium that covers the foot is like a big fat sock. And so you know how your sock can slide down in your shoe?
Yeah.
You know, well, this is kind of what happens here. And so as I continued, even though I didn't have the water, you know, or the boot and stuff, I still continued to try and work on this. And I really notice a difference in the wet weather because I see the whole foot move. And after this, I saw the whole foot move, and it looked weird. It looked weird, but you think about it, it's all been forced into a place it's not meant to be. See, and so as you are thinning stuff down and stuff is moving, Well, that's like, okay, like you break your arm and it mends. You got to go in, and only he didn't get sore. So let me just explain that. They got to go in, re-break your arm and set it, right?
Yeah.
You know, well, it's similar in the foot in that as you move boundaries, stuff releases and lets loose, you know, and so you will see different coloring in the foot. I can show you some of those colors here. Just
yeah, I know, I saw them.
Like you'll get this brown, this real brown coloring. Like at one point, the foot turned brown. The
Yeah, you
frog
mentioned
turned
it that
brown.
last week.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, sometimes you'll get what looks like bruising in the sole. Like if the frog moves, then you may get some bruised look in the sole. And he was never sore ever through none of this. Was he ever sore? He was never sore doing this. And it's just like Connie said, her frog, the back of the back of her horse's foot expanded, the frog expanded, and the horse is feeling better than he ever did. So you
Yeah.
think about it, if all this is supposed to be here,
Yeah,
but it's
sure.
clear up here, how does that feel? And if all this is supposed to be back here, and the foot functions only correctly when all the anatomy is in the right place, then when it's not in the right place like this, how does the foot function? What kind of pressure gets put on that navicular bone? Because, you know, that whole joint, the coffin joint, and that navicular bone is right there, is being forced forward. So that's pinching your navicular bone. The foot is not functioning correctly, you know. So anyway, okay, well, let's see here. Okay, so we're gonna go back to your horse. And
Linda,
yeah,
it's Nicole. I was just wondering, are you going to talk about Carola's horse?
yes.
Okay,
Which one was
good.
that?
That was that pony.
Yes, we want to get into that. We're gonna take a break here in a little bit, and then we're gonna come back and do the pony. Okay?
Okay, good. Yeah, my
Okay.
horse needs that notch there in that
Yeah.
arch.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
So, all right. So, my. Just a minute here. Let me find where I'm at here.
If you can just give me some trimming tips, Linda.
Okay.
Where to look out for and what to do next, maybe.
My trimming tip at this time. Let me first of all, I want to tell you that you're doing good. What I see here in the toe, how you shape this toe, is good. Okay. Now, this is the right front, so this is the upright.
Clubbed
front.
feet. Yeah.
No, the upright one or the flat one?
Yeah, the upright right one. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, but what I want you to do, if you would, is get. Did you say got some more pictures?
Yeah, I sent you one where you look down the bottom.
Okay.
I got more pictures, but this is just a recent trim. And I did a side by side from where I started from and which is now.
Okay, just a second here. Aha. Okay, so, and this is the upright foot. So let me. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, we needed to see this picture for sure. Let's see, new share. Okay, this tells it all. Okay, so you see this skin here, right here.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think you need to start trimming this out. Let me do an annotate quick here. Okay, I would like to see this start to be trimmed out some.
Okay.
Okay.
The corners. Yeah.
Yeah, the corners, and some of the central sulcus.
Okay.
Here. Just okay, and you see this thing here,
Yeah.
Okay, that needs to be taken down flat. I think, yeah, a little flatter.
Yeah, this
right
is
there.
a little bit older picture, but
Yeah,
this the one I have from
but
this view.
but also, if you would take some fresh pictures and send them to me too, we'd talk on Messenger.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. Yeah.
Okay, we can talk. We can do that too. Because I would like to look at some fresh pictures because you can see. You see how this here, her bulb is pulled under there. This is
Yeah.
all periopal that's stretched. I'm pretty sure she got a lot of periopal frog here. You know, and that her bulbs are pulled way under in here. Like there
Okay.
would be a crack right here in reality. Right there and right there is a crack. Here's your periopal rope growing over the whole thing. Yeah, this is pretty much, I think, a periopal frog. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So just starting to get some of this stuff out right here and just a little more definition on those bars, shorter back this way.
Okay.
Not a lot, but a little. Cause see, she's got that good old false concavity that you get from.
Yeah, that's very hollow, this foot.
Yeah, it's because the whole back of the foot is pulled down and under, so her foot is bent, actually in the capsule.
Yeah.
You know.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So is that good? A good start for you there?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. And again, feel free get a hold of me on Messenger anytime.
Okay. Thank you, Linda.
And
Yeah.
just go ahead and take some more pictures, and we'll get together and discuss them. Okay.
Yeah, I will do the next stream. I'll make some more of this view.
Okay.
And then I'll send them to you.
Okay. Great. Okay,
Okay.
people. So we're gonna take a 10-minute break. It's 1:53. We're gonna come back here at 2. I'm gonna stop this, and we're gonna do the foundered pony, and we're gonna talk about rotation and how that happens. Okay.
Okay, Linda, thank you very much.
Okay,
I
you're
have to
welcome.
leave you because my morning is early. I don't want to be rude, but I
No,
watched
that's
the
okay.
whole thing online.
That's plumb okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye. Well, now I'm trying to figure out how to back out of oh, wait a minute. Maybe I can do it now. Huh.